Here's Brody Brazil.
So here we are about a month away, in fact, even less than that, from mid-November. That's when the A's in Major League Baseball say they'd like to take a vote on relocation for this franchise to Las Vegas. They're aiming for the owners' meetings November 14th through the 16th in Arlington, Texas. But quite honestly, that seems like the earliest possible opportunity and convenience for something like this to even take place. There are so many details and specifics that have yet to go public or be ironed out even behind the scenes. Again, I understand it's what they're aiming for. I'm here to tell you that maybe it happens days or weeks after November 14th through the 16th, but a decision on this ultimately is right around the corner, which does set the tone and establish a timeline of urgency here, because we've yet to even see renderings for this project and ballpark at the site of the Tropicana Hotel. I'm not even talking about final blueprints or a final cost or a design approval. I'm saying even renderings, like the initial concept of what the A's plan is here. Now, I know a lot of people will say, no, we've already seen those renderings. They came out months ago. You did see 3 images that were released on May 26th. Interestingly enough, they came out on the same day that the A's put in their request for public money from Clark County and the state of Nevada. The legislative session was going on. They submitted the language on the final day. The A's also came out with these 3 images. These are images which you still see to this day when people talk about a potential move and a potential ballpark on the south end of the Strip. But these images were valid for only 61 days. July 26th, a member of the A's design team came out and said, we've told our people and the 2 design groups competing for the ultimate project and the ultimate work here, we've told these design groups to wad these up, throw these away, don't even refer to these in what you plan to do and propose to us. These are all invalid. They mean nothing. And I get it. They're still used in thumbnails and imagery, but these designs have nothing to do with what the A's are planning on right now. You could say those were faulty renderings. They were maybe rushed for politics. Maybe the only reason they came out was to be put in front of the Nevada State Legislature. So they had something to kind of whet their appetite and get the ball moving. Maybe those images, by the way, were produced way before May of 2023. Maybe those were even from late 2022 or earlier. The A's were sitting on them. They don't reflect the rest of the project or what Bally's or the new Tropicana is going to be. So maybe those weren't even current in terms of an idea that the A's had. They're definitely not to scale, which I'll show you in just a second. The ballpark is only supposed to take up 9 of the 35-acre site at the current Tropicana property. There were really no design features. I mean, it's supposed to be a retractable roof, but then there's that big arch. You can't clearly see where the roof goes when it opens and closes. It doesn't offer a bunch of fine detail into the project. Really no design features. And yeah, I'm focusing on the retractable roof, but there's a bunch of other things you just cannot depict from looking at those images. Also, were there even lights inside the stadium? Small things, big things, a bunch of things that we're missing. What about the rest of the property? What is Bally's and GLPI? What are they going to do with the other 26 acres of the site? How come that wasn't represented, at least even partially, in those designs? I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. And again, these renderings that, again, some people still operate on, they're still faulty because they're still used today. I feel guilty even putting them on your screen, but it's to make the point that they were only essentially valid. The A's themselves said, nope, this ain't it. And they used those renderings. They operated on those for only 61 days. So here's a lay of the land. What you see highlighted in gold, that gold rectangle, that represents the 35-acre property at the Tropicana site. Did that stadium really look like it took up only 9 of 35 acres there, or a lot more than it? Certainly not to scale. And I think it doesn't even take a scientific eye to really understand that. And then there's another image here, which I saw being passed around. This one is, and it's not official, but it shows 3 high-rise towers, maybe similar or not to what Bally's intends to do with the new Tropicana Sports Destination Resort. That's what they're saying. It might be a sports-themed property. Whether it's accurate or not, it gives a better idea that something else is also going to share the property and take up a majority of the footprint on the total 35 acres. North and west of this stadium, there will be a casino and hotel rooms and other amenities. And so maybe this is more of what it actually looks like. And again, this was just being passed around. It could be completely inaccurate. I don't know, but maybe it's closer to accurate than the original renderings, which we know were very inaccurate. Here in 2023, I'll say that renderings aren't that difficult. They also don't maybe hit the same way they used to. If you saw a rendering in 1995 or even 2005, you knew that the final design would come somewhat close to that. And let's also state the obvious here. Renderings are conceptual by nature. They really only give you a ballpark idea, in this case, of what a ballpark might look like. But it's also different here in 2023 because literally anybody can come up with their own renderings. Like you saw what you just saw there, and somebody's talented and a professional, and they were able to put together those design images and set them in Las Vegas. But honestly, this is what I came up with. Yeah, I made these renderings. Well, Microsoft Bing image generator made these, but I told it what to do. Give me a retractable roof stadium for the A's in Las Vegas. Top left doesn't look very retractable, neither does the big one here next to me. Bottom line is, are these that much different than what you saw disseminated by the A's in May and June and parts of July? It's not really that different. Anybody can come up with these. People are more accustomed to seeing renderings nowadays than ever because they're just so much more easy to produce. Which begs the question, why have we still not seen updated renderings for a project that needs baseball's approval in about a month or a little bit more than a month from right now? I liked those renderings, by the way. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that renderings are very important to the project, to what the A's want to do in Las Vegas, their ambitions of this stadium, getting it approved by baseball owners, but also appealing to Las Vegans and tourists around the world that this would be something they'd want to come to. Also the renderings are important. They're also on a very critical deadline. You'd have to think that there's going to be a new round of renderings released with the 75% concept design. Now, what is that? The 75% concept design is going to be what each of those two design groups that are competing for the ultimate job, they're coming up with better renderings, more of a blueprint, and yeah, a design that's not 100% complete and accurate, but it at least gets you 75% of the way there. So you'd have to think that this concept design comes way in advance of any Major League Baseball vote. But we're still, again, only, they say, about a month away from the vote. So when will these come out? And when will anybody have any time to sit on these renderings or the concept or the final details? Is this going to be published and then voted on within days apart? Will there be any time for anybody to digest any of this? But going back to why there's a little bit of pressure on the renderings for a couple different reasons here. These new renderings with 75% concept design, they actually must reveal accurate scale. You can't use up the entire property with the drawings, and quite honestly, now that people have seen the initial version, you know there's going to be a bunch of A-B comparison. Well, here's what the old one said, and here's what the new one shows. The new one's going to have to be a lot more accurate. I mean, honestly, I hope they spend more time and money and effort into making them better. You'd think that's going to happen, but it also needs to now fit on an accurate scale. It also probably needs to show what's going on with the rest of the property. Going back to that other image that was passed around, I mean, that at least showed some other structures on the property. But everything we'd seen officially shows nothing, shows a parking lot. And you know that's nowhere close to what the rest of the property is going to be like. Will you even be able to see this stadium from the Strip, or vice versa? Can you see any view from the inside of the stadium looking out? Will it be able to be built for $1.5 billion? I mean, when you look at this, right, it's going to have to fit in a small spot, be magnificent, but also be doable under a certain budget. Can they fit 33,000 seats and a retractable roof and all the amenities that they want on just 9 acres? There is no retractable roof baseball park in Major League Baseball that sits on just 9 acres. Not even close, in fact. Will it be Vegas great or not? What do I mean by that? The Sphere just came out. People still like and enjoy Allegiant Stadium for where it's at and its amenities. Can this baseball stadium do the next great thing in Las Vegas? Can it take the bar that's been set here and bring it up even higher? What happens if it's lower than where the bar is set? There's some pressure on these renderings. What will Major League Baseball owners think across the board when they see these renderings? Remember, they've heard some of the details, and they've probably heard more behind the scenes than any of us have in the public sphere. But when they get to see something for the first time that gets their mind going on what this could look like and be, what will they think of it? And again, all of this on a deadline. Now, they've been working on this, you'd have to think, well, since mid-July or earlier, when the A's officially came out and said, yeah, the old renderings, those aren't official by any means. So it's not like they just started and they only have a month left. I'm telling you, at this point, they only have a month left, and we've yet to see anything. And so all of a sudden, a situation where renderings are usually the beginning stages, or they're the exciting parts, or you can say, they don't matter because they're just initial renderings. These are now important renderings that have to win people over, that have to be accurate, that have to come out and showcase what a project is, what a project isn't, and it all has to happen under the certain timeline that the A's need this vote by the end of the calendar year. I said before that the vote doesn't really need to happen by November 16th. Let's say it doesn't. It could happen December 8th. Buy them a couple more weeks. That's certainly possible. But by the end of this calendar year, the A's want to stay on that competitive balance tax, revenue sharing as some people call it. They need this to get approved. They need owners to vote on it. And to get any of that to happen, you'd think they need to have these important renderings, round 2, officially the first round of renderings, released and evaluated. You made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. And don't forget, subscribe to this channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.